Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today it is Tuesday, the 27th of June, 2023. My name is Kerry Holzman, and I thank you for joining me today. I see a lot of people in the chat room all raring to go. I appreciate your enthusiasm. Looking forward to today's show. I want to kick off today's show with something off topic. We'll get to this computer here in just a minute. I have been harping on and on and on about the inundation of hobbyists and enthusiasts here on YouTube, promoting bad information, obsolete information, or just complete dangerous information, not necessarily on purpose. It's because they don't know any better. And then the viewers don't know any better, believe them. This has created a lot of misinformation. It's created a lot of damage for which they are not held accountable, liable, or responsible. That has cost the viewers time and money to fix. And as a working technician in this industry over 30 years, it is so frustrating to me. I'm not your typical technician, and I'm in the business to make money. I'm in the business to help people. And when people self-inflict their own computer issues, which was entirely voluntary, unnecessary, it creates often frustration. It creates an expense they don't necessarily, or they can't necessarily afford, but they have little choice but to pay the bill. I mean, I have to charge for what I'm doing. I don't gouge. And yet, what's happening is the lack of education with computers has resulted in self-proclaimed experts who are simply enthusiasts who have no professional experience or background in the industry, touting off information as though they were experts, and the viewers can't tell the difference. But I'm gonna share with you one way that you can tell. First of all, the age of the person making the video. If the person is very young, they don't have much experience. Now, this doesn't mean what they're saying is inaccurate. However, sometimes they're a little overconfident. And even if they're in the industry, they won't have much experience in the industry. And a lot of times, because they don't know what they don't know, they think they already know what they don't know. So there's really no convincing them, right? Until they're put into a situation where they're held accountable and liable, and they have to see something through, and there's real consequence if they don't, they just don't get it. But they're just never going to get it if they never find themselves in that position. So one thing is the age of the person. Now, that's not always a teller, right? It's just a sign, something to watch for. Sometimes you get an older person who learned back 20 years ago and they haven't learned anything since, and now they're spouting information on YouTube that was true 20 years ago. System optimizers, driver programs, defragmentation, all this stuff we don't use anymore. None of us use that stuff anymore. We haven't used it over a decade, nearly 2 decades, and yet they're there making videos that, you know, they're telling you, I don't know, how to fix a steam engine. You know, who's this for? They don't know what they don't know. So we're right back to square one again. So with the inundation of the self-proclaimed techs who are just nothing more than hobbyist enthusiasts with no experience, with no accountability, no consequence to the dangerous, misleading, and often just wrong information that they spew about in all to get views. That's all it's about. We're going to get views. It's up to you, the viewer, to protect yourself and to identify the signs. The third thing you need to look for is consistency of information among many individuals. So, for example, if I make up a story right now, it is unlikely going to match anybody else's made up story. If you say to me, Kerry, just make up a story, doesn't matter how many characters are involved, if it's past, present, or future, fiction or nonfiction, doesn't matter, just tell me a story. And then you ask somebody else the same exact question, what are the odds you're going to hear the same story? It's not likely. And you can do this for months and years before you will hear 2 identical stories. It could be 1,000 years. Everybody's imagination all works differently. However, if you ask a mathematician to solve a math problem for you, And 1,000 years later, and as many mathematicians you want to ask, you keep asking that same math problem to a mathematician over and over and over, many different mathematicians over any period of time, any number of mathematicians you want to ask, you will always get the same answer. Okay? And that's what we're after. We're after consistency. So if you don't have the education in computers, you're not an engineer, you don't have a technical mindset, and you can't tell what's real from what's fake, one of the ways you can tell is through experience, and it's through consistency. Now, there aren't many real technicians on YouTube making videos, which frustrates me, but at the same time motivates me to keep making videos so I can have some alternative for viewers to see, coming from somebody who's been in the industry over 30 years. What's my motivation? Why do I care if you want to defragment your drive? Why do I care if you want to self-inflict harm and put some system utility on that completely destroys your system? Why do I care? I honestly don't know. I guess I care too much. My mother should not have named me Carrie. She should have named me Millionary. That would have been a nice name. Is it in the name? I don't know, but I do care. It really bothers me to see people completely misled, to gain people's trust, and then completely destroy it, all for a view. I'm not interested in that. So you can imagine how tickled I was when today I found a video from a gentleman who's probably about my age, who's been in the industry about as long as I have, who basically is saying word for word everything I've been telling you for the last 12 years. So, hallelujah, maybe the cavalry is coming. Maybe more technicians will speak up. I want to encourage you to subscribe to him and watch his videos, because clearly, if these are the kind of videos he makes, then chances are I will agree with most of his videos. I won't agree with all of them, I'm sure, because we're different people, but they're worth watching if this is the kind of quality he makes. The video, let me pull it up on the screen here. I've got a link to it in the show notes. This should be it right here. There he is. He's called Cyber CPU Tech. This video he posted a day ago. It's already got 13,000 views, which is a good start. And it's 22 minutes long. And he tells you all of the dangerous things you are hearing from hobbyist enthusiasts that you should stop listening to. These people have no idea what they're talking about, and furthermore, will not be held accountable. See how he's got the bottle of snake oil there? There's a reason for that. The information is either outdated, obsolete, or just flat out wrong. Now, why does he care? What difference does it make to him if you want to self-destruct your system or listen to morons touting information over false self-confidence so that you actually look up to them and believe what you're being told? I don't know. I don't know why I care. I can't tell you other than it's just the way I was raised to look after people, the way I would want somebody to look after me. This video, Stop Doing This to Your Computer, I strongly recommend you watch it. If it all sounds familiar, it's because I've been talking about this stuff for a long time. And it tickles me to no end. Sorry, my volume was up. It tickles me to no end to see somebody else coming at this with experience, with consequence, and with logic, and taking the time out of his day when there's nothing in it for him than perhaps maybe the click, right? But unlike clickbait, this is real. So, all right, I think that deserves attention. And so I wanted to start today's video off by recommending, if you're interested in getting real technical information in a simple, digestible way for everybody to understand from a reliable source, here is a working computer technician that takes time out of his day to make videos for the average person, all for the less than a quarter of a penny he'll get for your view. Seriously, he gets less than a quarter of a penny for you to watch that video. He's clearly not in it for the money. So do as you will. You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I can point you guys to sources of information and resolution and facts. But if you choose to ignore them, if you choose to allow ignorance and conspiracy to override reality, that's you. I got no accountability to what you do if you choose to ignore what has been gifted to you. You know, you could look a gift horse in the mouth and complain about it and walk away. That's your choice, and I feel bad for anybody who goes through life with that attitude. So again, I present this information because I think it is useful. And unlike the vast majority, more than 94%, I would say, off the top of my head, I'm making a guess, of technical content here on YouTube is made by hobbyists and enthusiasts, which in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's the problem is when the hobbyists and enthusiasts step outside of their lane and they get into areas they have no business getting into without any proper disclaimer to warn their innocent viewers who become victims of their overconfidence. And again, without them being held liable, without them being held accountable, this is going to continue to get worse until more real experienced people with accountability come in and start explaining the difference so the viewers can properly defend themselves and understand the value of what they're watching and rate it accordingly. Okay, so I just wanted that out of the way because it's something I'm very passionate about. It's maddening to live in my world to see how much nonsense there is out there, generating millions of subscribers in some cases over complete nonsense. And hey, for some people, it's just entertainment. That's all well and good. But if it's education you're after, and if it's making your computer better and more reliable and having less frustration in your life, well, I'm hoping to accomplish that with my channel. Today, I'm looking at another mini PC. This one purchased with your contributions. This is a TRIGKEY Mini PC. Never had them on the show before. They don't know who I am. We reached out to TRIGKEY, never got a response, so we just bought it. That's how this works. Maybe they'll think differently when they see the video, and maybe they'll want to participate in future videos. Maybe they won't. Maybe we'll buy more of their products and showcase them. Maybe we won't. Okay, so this is called the Speed S. And the reason I purchased this was RobTech. So RobTech, another great YouTube channel I recommend you subscribe to if you're interested in mini PCs, does very thorough, sort of traditional PC reviews, where he's going to run the benchmarks and run frames per second, all this other stuff that I think is a complete waste of time. I see a lot of enthusiasts inundating my videos with enthusiast questions, and I just remove their comments because I'm not having this nonsense. I have people that want to know, either they don't know how to do something, so they blame the machine. Like, how come you didn't cover this part doesn't work? It does work, you just don't know what you're doing. So it bothers me when they come in with that attitude. It bothers me when they ask insane questions like, how loud is it? Really? So RobTech will go through and he will humor those so common requests. It's so ridiculous. How loud something is depends on who you are, what the room environment is, and how sensitive you are to noise, what you consider loud. It's so subjective. It's no point in talking about it. Which of these shoes are the most comfortable? Which haircut is the best one? Which tattoo is the best tattoo? You're never going to get the same answer from two people. I don't understand why they do this. And frames per second, give me a break. There's 10,000 different games out there you could be playing. You're going to expect the reviewer to review the game you play? If you care that much about something and you have some dedication to some game and your ears are sensitive, you know, buy the unit, buy it from someplace like Amazon, try it out, and, you know, if it doesn't meet your stern requirements, send it back and leave a comment under any review video of that product sharing your experience. That would actually be beneficial to everybody else. But these selfish questions that come in about somebody's individual needs that are so refined, they're so whittled down into, how does it do this or how does it do that? It's all about me. Answer my question. Everything I care about matters. And then they have nothing to share in exchange So it would be great to see people being more thoughtful for the community and instead say, you know, I'm not going to take anybody's word on how they think it's loud or how many frames per second. Bear with me just a second. I have somebody at the door, of course. Okay, that was UPS. They just know when to show up, don't they? I'm going to keep talking. I've got to get this box has perishable items in it, and I've got to get it opened. But I'm going to keep talking to you. So there's a selfishness in the questions, right? Somebody wants to know something uniquely specific to how they use a computer, and they don't want to make any effort, right? This is what I'm reading from the question. They want you to do the work as though you work for them, like they are your master or they are paying you. You are their employee, and they want you to perform a task that they and only they care about. Of all of your viewers, it's just this one person, okay? And sometimes they'll even be so bold as to say, on behalf of everybody who plays this game, right? And they're not speaking on behalf of other people who play the game. They didn't get any consent from a group of individuals to speak on their behalf. It's preposterous. So I delete these comments because I find them maddening. They're a complete waste of time, and they're very, very selfish. What I encourage you once again to do is, if you care that deeply about something so minor and you think you're speaking on behalf of the group, then on behalf of the group, buy it and evaluate it and tell the group what your experience is, good or bad. Join the community. That's all I'm saying. Join the community. Give something back. If you want something, offer something. That's all I'm saying. You want somebody to do something for you? What are you going to do for them in return? Oh, yeah, this stuff is frozen. I am surprised it stayed frozen. It's 107 degrees outside. It's really, really hot today. We're getting extreme weather all over the country. This had to arrive right when I started the show. Don't know what this is. Probably something Camera Girl ordered, I bet you. Okay. I gotta find a place for it. Oh, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. There is no room. We don't have any room. Gotta watch a how to organize your freezer video after this. All right, so I'm going to be with you back on camera here in just a second. Hang in there. Hang in there. I'm coming back. Let's see. Well, it could have been worse. Where am I going to put this stuff? Oh my gosh. There's so much stuff. Oh, and there's another one? Oh no. Oh boy. Oh boy. Now I gotta get creative. Now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do this. This is absolutely filled to the brim, and there's something else that has to go in. How is that gonna even happen? Is it even possible with the laws of physics? Here, wait a minute. Maybe I figured it out. It is the world's greatest Rubik's Cube. A massive Tetris game is that freezer. Okay, I apologize for that. That was crazy. Steve H contributes $10. He says, Gary, please use this for shipping costs. Thank you, Steve H. Am I sending you something? Time for a bigger refrigerator? No, it's time to eat less. I think that's what it is. Let's see. John Williams says he's seen some of Cyber CPU Tech's videos. Cyber Tech CPU, Cyber CPU Tech. Anyway, he says he likes them. Yeah, I've seen some of his videos. I like them too, but that one I like the most. Thomas MacT says Rob Tech on YouTube. Yes, Rob Tech. I talked about him in a previous video. All one word. Whenever you're typing in YouTube channel names, there's no spaces in the names, okay? So I separate the words so you know how to spell it, but don't use any spaces in a YouTube name. He's very good, and I recommend you subscribe to him if you want accurate technical information from a real working technician, not the nonsense and the entertainment spewing stuff that comes from the entertainers. Edward Van Reness says, I have this TRIGKEY model with the Intel 512GB NVMe SSD. It's got a 3000 megabytes per second read speed. Looking forward to your opinion. All right, well, we're going to find out. Nick Poverman says, you should see the misinformation being done on TikTok when it comes to computers if you think YouTube is bad. Oh, I'm not even talking about that for a reason. I figure if I don't talk about it, we're not encouraging the curiosity of people to go out and look at it. So much for that plan. Chevy contributes $10. Thank you, Chevy. And yeah, hello to all my friends here in blue and in green, all those familiar names. Some new folks here in white. We hope you'll stick around and be a part of our amazing community. Everybody here is always friendly and supportive, or they won't be here very long. So if you want a place where you're not getting bullied, you want a place that's spam-free, bot-free, you want a place where we talk tech and where misinformation is not permitted, you're in the right place. And everybody's always welcome. It doesn't matter what your age, gender, religion. None of that matters here. All that matters is, are you a jerk? That's all we want to know. We don't care how smart you are. We don't care about being challenged. We don't want that. We want people who are kind. And if you think you're a kind person, then please join us here on the channel. If, on the other hand, you're insecure and you need to prove people wrong all the time and you need to challenge people all the time, you are not welcome here. Let me make it very clear. Not everybody is welcome here. We want to have a community here that supports one another and lifts one another up. If you like to bring people down, if you like to insult people, if it's important to you to prove how smart you are, this isn't the channel for you. So here we go. All those names you see in blue, those are all people that have proven themselves over time that they are kind and supportive. That's why they're all blue. So if you come in here and you say, wow, there's a lot of blue people in here. Yes, they are blue because they've proven themselves over time that they are supportive and kind. And so if you do the same thing, you will also be turned blue. You just have to be a regular in the chat room. Be in the chat room often enough that I recognize you. You have to participate in the chat room, and your participation must show kindness. That's all. That's all you have to do is be kind. You're allowed to disagree with people. You're allowed to share your point of view, but you need to phrase it in a way that's not challenging or insulting, because the minute you do that, we got a problem. And so, yes, if you continue in the chat room on a regular basis and I start to recognize your name, I will turn you blue. And I will tell you, when I do the giveaways and a blue person or a green person, a supporter, nominates themselves, they have a higher priority of receiving that giveaway because of their kindness and their support of the channel. I want to reward their loyalty before just a complete stranger who pops in for the first time. Not that I don't give complete strangers who pop in for the first and only time a giveaway. I do. But when given a choice between who to pick, if there's, a choice, I'll always pick my blue and my green members first and foremost, because that's their reward. That's what you get, what you give. They're giving kindness. You're going to get kindness here. Promise you. It is rewarded in time. Error contributes $10, says, thank you for your content. Thank you, Error. Thank you for your contribution. Okay. The TRIGKEY Speed S. So Rob Tech said, He thought this was a great value if you lived in the United States. This is the one he recommended on his top 5. So looking over at Rob Tech's channel, let's just take a look over there real quick, and I'll have to add a link to his channel again because I enjoy watching his content. I think if you like my content, you would like Rob Tech's content. Let me pull it up here because I didn't have this ready. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is Rob Tech. See how he spells the channel name there. His most recent video, now that I'm making this video here on June 27th, 2023, is from 3 days ago. It's only got 2.4K. It's only got 2,400 views. That video deserves 10 times, at least 10 times more than that. And these are his top 5 mini PCs under $250 so far in 2023. Rob Tech does primarily mini PC reviews, and he's very thorough at it and answers a lot of the enthusiast questions about benchmarks, which I think are a complete and utter waste of time. However, because people who are watching these videos asking these questions don't know any better and actually put value in it, he's just giving his audience what they want, even though they don't realize what they want is kind of nonsense. But anyway, here we go. So he's got his top 5, and he mentioned this computer as being a really good value if you live in the US. He is apparently in Australia, so he can't get all the same units we get, but he often will cite things in US prices, and he's got a wonderful sense of humor. He's hilarious. And his videos aren't, on and on like mine. You say it's a 10-minute video. It's pretty quick, so I encourage you to check that out. So because I respect him and I appreciate what he does, I thought I'd see what his definition of good was, and I thought I'd purchase it and see if we're on the same page. Here's a spoiler alert. As much as I respect him and I enjoy his content, we are not on the same page. Let's take a look at what's in the box. Oh, wait. Before we do that, let's take a look at the Amazon page that I went to buy this and why he thinks it's a good deal. Let's go over there. Okay, there's the TRIGKEY Ryzen 5 Mini PC 6-core, 12-thread mini computer, Windows 11. It's a Ryzen 5 5500U, which can go up to 4 gigahertz. It's got 16 gigs of RAM, a 500GB NVMe SSD, and it's a 15-watt processor, TDP. What does it say TPD? It's TDP. All right, whatever. Blah, 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 Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.4. You say $339, a lot of money. Okay, but there's a $100 coupon right here, so it takes that to $239. So now for $239, you're getting a Ryzen 5, 16 gigs of RAM, 500 gig NVMe. Is that a pretty good deal? It's a pretty good deal. But is it a good computer? You decide. It's okay. That's the long and short of it. It's okay. So that's the deal. It's not bad. And for the price, yes, it's a good amount of storage. A lot of times when you're at a $200 price point, you're at a budget PC range. You're at a sort of bottom of the barrel N95. You're not going to get an i5 or a Ryzen 5 at $200. Not yet. So when we look at this, we say, okay, this is a Ryzen 5 5500U. It's about close to a $300 machine, maybe $320. I think $339's a bit much on the ask there. That processor's a couple of years old. That's part of the reason it's depreciated and why it's discounted. You want to get rid of them. So for $239, are you getting good value for your money? Yes. But is it a good PC? It's okay. I think you could spend a little bit more and do way better, but maybe you don't want a little bit more. Maybe you don't have a little bit more to give. Maybe that is, your choice is between buying a $200 N95 unit or a $239 Ryzen 5. Well, spend the extra $39 and get the Ryzen 5. You'll do better. On the other hand, if you could come up with another 50, 60 bucks, you could do even better than this. Or spend that money on upgrading this with better components and you'd have a much better system. Itchy nose today. That's lovely. Thank you, Carrie. We all wanted to hear that. Okay, so let's open the box, see what's in here. Now, wait a minute. This box looks really familiar to me. Are all these mini PCs all shipping in the same box? Yeah, it's got an outside box and an inside, okay, or an outside cover. Packaged like this. Are you sensing deja vu, or is it just me? Hold on a second. This looks like the exact same box. It has a sleeve. Yeah, that's the same. Top comes off like that. That's the same lid. It's the same exact lid. Fits like a glove. Okay, so same box. Okay. Hold on. Package. Package. Rob Tech, what gives, man? Full disclosure, man. What's going on here? V-Link, TRIGKEY. User manual. User manual. Hard disk installation guide. Hey, we have something different. Piece of foam. Piece of foam. Computer. Computer. I have no words. What is happening right now? V-Link. TRIGKEY. I'm gonna mix them up and you tell me which one's which. Wait, let me just bring them under here. Which one's the TRIGKEY? Which one's the V-Link? It's freaking me out. Okay, something's going on. What's up? There is a main manufacturer of these units, and it is not V-Link, and it is not TRIGKEY. These are companies that are buying manufactured units, putting their own branding on them, including their own box, their own documentation. They're going to have exactly the same packing, and they're going to sell for different prices. Here's the V-Link power supply. Here's the TRIGKEY power supply. Accessories. We have the Mickey Mouse power cable, Mickey Mouse power cable, HDMI cable, HDMI cable, VESA bracket, VESA bracket, small or short HDMI cable, short HDMI cable. They are exactly the same, except the TRIGKEY gives us this. This right here is a little ribbon cable. It's very super tiny that enables you to connect a 2.5-inch drive inside the unit. And then we've got screws and a bag of screws. Screws are a little different. I have 3 black screws in this one. I've got 4 black screws. And they give you extra screws, obviously, for the installation of a 2.5-inch drive. The cover's a little different. The color and the cover. This is a vented cover. This is a red pull tab. Silicon pull tab to take the bottom off. Look at the bottom. It's exactly the same. Even the pull tab is the same except for the color. So all they're doing is changing the color of the box, the name on the box, different lid on this. It's the exact same unit and they sell for different prices. Do you want to buy the more expensive unit or the cheaper unit? Now, if that's the way you're looking at it, then the TRIGKEY is the bargain all day long. I'm looking in the chat to see what your reaction is to my glitch in the matrix exposure here. Dodge Tech said you've entered the Carry Mini PC zone. Are we being AliExpress? Andy Kane says, smells like a copycat. No, they're not a copycat. Not at all. They are equal in every way because neither one of them makes this computer. That's what you need to understand. They're just branding the computer. See, this is what I like about Minisforum. So much as I can tell, Minisforum is making their own machines. I do often see similar Minisforum machines on AliExpress with different names. So I'm not quite sure how that works. A little suspicious. But it certainly appears to me that Minisforum creates their own designs. I'm not sure B-Link creates their own designs. Maybe some of their designs, maybe the GTR7 is their own. I don't know. And I only mention that because I don't see a GTR7 equivalent from anybody else. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I haven't seen it. So now the question is, well, what kind of warranty, what kind of support do you get? How are the machines, how is one better than the other? I don't know. I've already done a video on the B-Link. This is the SER 5 Pro, which is not spec'd the same. This is an AMD Ryzen 7 5800H, and this is a Ryzen 5 5600U. Is that what I said it was? But I expect that B-Link probably makes the same configuration. It's just, I just so happen to have that in stock. It's all coincidence. I had no idea until it arrived and I looked at it and I said, I've seen this somewhere before, right? And then I started sniffing around a little bit. I was like, oh, I see. Okay. So these aren't identical twins, but they're very similar. And the B-Link sells for more because you're getting more. You're getting a higher end processor. Although the TRIGKEY offers the ability to add a 2.5-inch drive, but I don't know why anybody would want to do that. I think you got to be half off your rocker to add a 2.5-inch drive to one of these. Just throw a USB external drive on it. They get hot enough. Why would you torture it even more by blocking the airflow with a 2.5-inch slow drive when you could just put an external drive on it, not have to open it up, not have to deal with ribbon cables, not have to deal with having to replace it if it goes bad, not have to deal with the added heat. It doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, if that's something you justify, have fun. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. But that's okay. Dwayne Blackwelder says, can anyone say OEM? Very well said. You will save a lot. You will save a USB slot by putting in a 2.5-inch drive. See, there's always somebody out there that'll justify insanity, right? They'll say, I can totally make sense out of nonsense and I can justify anything. Listen, you have at it. You go right ahead. There's a thing called a USB hub and you can have as much USB as you want. And if it's performance you're after, why are you looking at this? Come on, give me a break. Oh, yeah, well, you can get an extra 3 horsepower out of your Chevy Sprint if all you do is put a cold air intake on it. It's still a Chevy Sprint. But, you know, that's how some people are. I think it's some, I don't want to get into it. It's just preposterous. Anyway, if you want to do that, obviously some people want to do that, right? That's why they include it for those individuals. And if you happen to be one of those individuals, I feel bad for you. Okay, that's all I'm saying. As a professional computer technician, knowing what the side effects of putting a 2.5-inch drive in are, as well as limitations and performance, I think it's a sounder investment to put a USB drive on. But that's just my opinion. So, again, there's a lot of different people in the world, and they all have different ideas of what good is, right? So for me, I'm a fan of keeping things simple, and I'm a fan of keeping things inexpensive or keeping things, how can I phrase this? Valuable, good value for the dollar. So if I hear of somebody's configuration that to me is expensive, overly complex, but it suits their individual desires, it suits their whatever their mental need is for a certain look or a certain style, and they're willing to pay that extra money and they're willing to go through the extra effort, that's something unique to them, but nothing I can recommend to my audience. For the average user out there, for the average regular computer user out there, I think it's much more of a value. It's much easier to simply add USB storage. And also, I think in the long run, it will be less trouble, less likely for damage, and less likely to have side effects, unwanted side effects. To ignore those side effects, to not mention the added heat as though it's not a thing, is something that somebody does to justify what they want. They're willing to accept that risk because it's more important to them to have what they want and to totally ignore the point I made. I want to point that out to the people in my chat room because it doesn't mean they're wrong, okay? It just means what they want is something I don't recommend, and them telling me, justifying why they want it, doesn't change the fact I still don't recommend it, and then they don't like that, okay? So too bad. You know, what am I going to tell you? I don't recommend it. I'm not telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want. But if I were you, I wouldn't do that. That's all we're saying. All right. I know a guy, he's got a brand new car, and he's completely ripped it apart, ruined his warranty. He lowered the car. He lowered it, and he's spending all this time and all this money doing all this work himself. And I'm like, oh, dude, man, why would you lower an SUV? That's terrible. You're ruining that car. You're ruining the ride. You're ruining the suspension. But look how cool it looks. All right. And now it's not lowered anymore. So all that time and money spent only to undo everything and put it back. Some of us, we just have to figure it out on our own, right? I respect that. I respect, you know, hey, let me do it. Let me do it my way. Let me figure it out myself. Don't give me all the spoilers. I want to have this experience. Don't rob me of this experience. Maybe my experience will be different than yours. Hey, you know what? You're absolutely right. Maybe it will. I was just trying to be helpful. Sorry, I tried to help. My bad. Offering help to people who didn't want it. Never a good thing. Offering directions to somebody who didn't ask you for any directions kind of comes across wrong. You know, I get it. I see. All right, so let's turn this bad boy on and see what it's like. Let me move this stuff out of the way. And this over here, I don't want to, now I'm confused over which thing goes into which box. I'm trying to keep everything separated. These things can't touch. Would it even matter if I confused which thing went in one box? If it's all the same anyway? That's just the way my twisted brain works. Let's see. Arnold said some people rather learn the hardware or their way. We just need to respect that. Oh, I agree. I'm one of those people. I like to learn my way. Absolutely. If you're trying to help me and I didn't ask for your help, I'm going to say get lost. Let me do this my way. So when somebody else hits me with the same thing, I totally get it. I totally get it. I don't think that's normal. I don't think most people are that way. I don't think I'm like most people, but I'm also not alone. I realize that. So there are others with similar attitudes. And of course, I respect that because that's something I totally get it and agree with you 100%. Richard Collins says, hello. Hey, Richard, your computer went out yesterday. I sent out 3 of the computers yesterday, and I went to the post office, and the darn post office closed at 4:30 in the afternoon. I was like, are you kidding me? A United States post office on a weekday closes at 4:30 on a weekday? This is a big post office. Doors were locked. Me and somebody else were like, why are the doors locked? And then, they're on the side of the window was the hours. So anyway, it went FedEx. Long story short. So I got 3 of them out. I've got probably 3 more I'll try and do today after the show. And then I think there's another 3 after that that'll go out. But I know, Richard, yours was one of the 3 that went out. It's going to require a signature. I will send you the tracking information here probably by the end of the day. Okay, I've got power. Oh, I need a keyboard and mouse, and I can plug internet into this because I've already turned this on and updated it because that's what I do in my free time. Where's my internet cable? There we go. There we go. All right, and then my keyboard and mouse are here on the counter off to the side. Look at me all prepared, kinda. Alan Linda says, Carrie, you have free time? That was sarcasm. Thank you for getting it. Let's see. Oystein's joining us all the way from Norway. Welcome in, Oystein. Joe says Windows 11 Pro or Home. I've got a video on that, Joe, and I recommend you go and watch it. I've covered that in great detail. The cliff notes on that are, when I'm building a computer, it's a $2 difference between putting Windows Home and Windows Pro. So I put Windows Pro, it's a $2 difference. But if you're a home user, it's a waste of your time and a waste of your money. If you have Windows 10 Home and you want to upgrade to Pro, in most cases, you will receive no benefit from that other than the frustration and hassle of getting it done. It's not a simple process, and you'll have to pay for the license. And when it's all said and done, your computer will not work any differently. So I guess if you want BitLocker, if you want to use Windows Remote PC versus a Remote PC software, if you need to log into a domain server, that's all you're doing. You're just adding those 3 things. That's it. So you decide if that's something you want to do. Basically, if you've got Windows 10 Home already and you're a home user, there's a reason why you've got Windows 10 Home. It's because you don't need Windows 10 Pro. We're not holding anything away from you. We're not saying, hey, this is too powerful for your dainty little hands to handle. No, no, no. We're saying this has business and corporation utilities that are only needed in a business or a corporation. Since you're a home user, you are not a business or a corporation, and therefore none of those utilities would benefit you in any way. And if anything, could probably get in your way. In most cases, you wouldn't even know they were there because you never used them. And so nothing's any different. Your computer's not any faster. You don't have any difference in the operating system. So if you're a business, Windows 10 Pro. If you're a home user, Windows 10 Home. If you're a home enthusiast user who's a little off your rocker, in my opinion, and you want to do that corporate stuff at home, that's not normal. It's not illegal. But customers like that, I don't want. I don't want people like that as customers because they get themselves into all kinds of very difficult to solve tangled issues. By the time they call for help, it's a massive mess nightmare. That's called knowing enough to get yourself in trouble. Now, it's a great way to learn, and it's great if you get yourself out of your own messes. Okay, so if you get yourself into a big deep hole because you got in over your head, get yourself out of the hole. That's all I'm saying. Don't drag me into your You're the one that wanted to learn, okay? So, you got yourself there, get yourself out. It's a terrible thing for a technician to say, isn't it? But honestly, not all customers are good customers. And so when somebody does something that's completely unnecessary for no good reason other than they were curious, those can be some of the most difficult, time-consuming customers to deal with. And they can sometimes be the most difficult people to deal with. So in my experience as a computer technician dealing with the general public, I have learned to watch for those warning signs and then politely refer them to my greatest enemy, my greatest competitor, who I hate the most. I recommend, I go, hey, I can refer somebody that's really, really good for you. And then I send them to the competitor I have who I despise the most. Just so you know, that's how that works. All right, I'm going to turn this on and let's go over here to, am I too honest? I think I might be too honest, aren't I? Sometimes I should just keep some things to myself. When people know the truth, it offends them. Yeah, well, welcome to life. All right, there we go. We've got a different BIOS screen. So clearly they've done something different here than the B-Link. And we are up and running. Alan Nindas contributes $7.77. He says, thanks, Carrie. I guess it's time for my 777 fee. Use it for whatever you like. No strings attached. Thank you, Alan. Okay, let me go full screen so I can see this bad boy. Oh, I'm using the wrong mouse. Okay, now I can see it the way you guys at home see it. That's way better. I can actually see. So when I was updating this, I ran Crystal Disk Mark on it. And these are the results. See how much faster that is? It has a 3000 read speed, but only a 1300 write speed. So I guess if all you do is read data and you don't write it, I guess that's good. But it kind of explains on how they're able to get the price cheaper by putting in a drive that's a budget level drive. They're good read speeds, just terrible write speeds. Oh, I guess I didn't run Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer on, did I? Okay, well, that's fine. Let me just take a look at, it's a 500 gig drive. Who makes it? Let's go over here to hardware. Oh, it's a Kingston. All right, well, that explains that. Kingston always makes the budget stuff. So as far as Kingston goes, it's good for a Kingston. There's some positivity. It's good for a Kingston. Not good for a Samsung, but for a Kingston, good job, little guy. You could do better replacing this drive with something perhaps twice the size. Samsung 970 EVO is $99 on Amazon. For 2 terabytes, you'd be 4 times the size with a 3600 write speed and a 3000 write speed for $100. But that is nearly half the price of the whole computer. So, keep that in mind. Let's take a look here on the device manager. Right click, go to device manager. Let's just verify what we've got installed here. Hardware wise, we've got AMD Radeon graphics. This computer, that tells me nothing. AZW. I guess that must be the original manufacturer. There's probably something about the OEM we could learn about this. A little Google search will probably reveal what's going on here. Security devices. So clearly this is Windows 11 compatible. And what else do I want to look at? What's our network card? What do we have in there? We've got an Intel Wi-Fi AX200. That's good. That's a good thing. That means the Bluetooth is Intel as well. So you think we'd have an Intel LAN control? Nope, it's Realtek. That's weird, isn't it? They went with Realtek for the wired LAN, the PCIe, the gigabit LAN, and they went with Intel for the Wi-Fi. So I would personally like to see these all made by the same company, but that doesn't really have any, that's more about maintenance than it is about anything else. Like I could use the free Intel Driver Assistant to get drivers for anything Intel based, even on an AMD system. But then I have to go somewhere else entirely. I have to go to realtek.com to get the Realtek updated drivers, which I think is a hassle. And as a computer technician, and you've got to deal with 100 computers, whatever your period of time is, the scale of it makes that extraordinarily repetitive and mind-bending. It'll turn your mind numb. Okay? Because it's so monotonous and tedious and unnecessary simply because of a design. Putting everything the same just makes the maintenance easier on a big scale. For you at home, you're doing one computer, who cares? So again, the difference between a computer technician talking and an enthusiast talking, and this is the kind of thing that makes a difference on scale. All right, so we've got Realtek as the sound too. Interesting. Storage controllers. That's all standard stuff in there. All right, so be it. Where's my CPU? Processors. Yep, there's our AMD Ryzen 5 5500U. So there's no deception here. You're getting exactly what they say you're getting. And I'm pleased to see that. And that's not really been a problem in the industry. However, you never know and always want to check. Let's see. Svi Manor says, Carrie, it looks like AZE Mini PC. Yeah, that sounds like the original OEM right there. Shenzhen AZW Technology is the manufacturer. Look at you guys doing all the work for me. Thank you so much. Now I don't have to wonder. We knew it was an OEM. We just didn't know their name. I wonder, do they make a computer with their own name on it, or are they strictly a white box OEM? So overall, I mean, the computer's relatively quiet. I guess we can open it up. I mean, is there anything else you want me to look at while we're in here? I think we kind of got the gist of it. Let me shut it down. If you have something you want to know, put it in the chat room. If it's something I think others would benefit from knowing, I will definitely do it. If it's something only you are going to want to know, then I might not. But the great thing about Amazon is you can make a purchase, and if you don't like an item for any reason, up to 30 days, return the item at no cost of shipping, no restocking fee. You know, that may not last forever, and I advise you to take advantage of it while Amazon's offering it, because it costs a lot of money to take these returns. You do have to return everything. You can't leave out the package of screws or the adapter, or they likely will reject your refund. You need to, because you're basically being a thief if you do that. Even if you unintentionally leave the store without paying for something, it's still shoplifting, whether you did it knowingly or not. So please, until you've decided whether or not you're going to keep something, be very conscientious of where you're putting all the materials in case you want to return it, so you could put it all back so you don't become a thief, and then expect a full refund without any consequences or delays. And you'll have a great experience. If you don't follow that, well, you'll roll the dice. You know, maybe Amazon will take it back incomplete. I hope they don't, because it's going to screw somebody else who buys it. They're going to be left out because you misplaced something, or maybe you did it intentionally. I don't know. But, you know, for this deal to work, people have to be honest and give back everything if they want to get back everything. Okay? Does it need to be said? I guess so. I don't know why, but it's the society we live in. Let me open up this computer. I'm going to unplug power from it just to be safe. And I'll bring out my overhead computer, overhead camera. Everything's a computer in my world. Let me get out my overhead. These videos are live and unscripted, as if you couldn't tell. So we never quite know what's going to happen. There it goes. Why is this drooping? Get up there. That looks pretty good. And then I need to hook a cable into the capture card. Right there. Why is this cable so tight? Oh, I see it. It got woven. into amongst all the other cables. Somehow, some way, it found its way wrapping around every cable on the floor. Go figure. Couldn't have spent hours doing that if I tried, but it does it all on its own. Okay, so now with the overhead camera, I can turn this on. And we should be able to go to OBS, see where that needs to be. Let's go to OBS and tell it to do the close-up camera. Hey, I was kind of close. There's the bottom. Frank Jimmy says live streams are like a box of chocolates. You ain't never know what you're going to get. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Some shows are better than others. Some shows I'm a little gentler in the honesty, and other times I'm a little bit more blunt. Kind of depends on what I feel like is needed that day, depending on the interactions I've had with people recently. That determines my tone. So if I sound a little frustrated or a little blunt, it's because recently I've been dealing with some people who require that, where the gentle didn't work. So because it's still fresh, it's still coming out. So don't take it personally, okay? It wasn't you. All right, let's open this up. First of all, thank you for not covering up the screws. I like how the rubber feet have holes so we can remove the screws without having to remove the rubber feet. I appreciate that as a technician. I don't want to have to carry around glue in my toolbox, especially when it's 110 degrees outside and the glue will likely explode in my car, ruining whatever it happens to be sitting on, the floor, the seats, the back carpet of the hatchback, the trunk, whatever it is, it will ruin it. So liquids of any kind are not a good thing to keep in your car. If you live in Phoenix, Arizona and drive in the summer, and yeah, it's going to get 200, 250, almost 300 degrees inside of your trunk, inside of your car, sitting out in the sun. That's 110 plus degrees. And things that are liquid are not going to do well. Okay, we have a ribbon cable already attached. So what is the other ribbon cable for that they gave us? Well, now this is interesting. It looks like you just slide the drive in here, 2.5-inch drive, just slide it in. It is not going to block any fans like we've seen on some other designs. Well, not block, but restrict. In this particular instance, aside from adding a little bit of heat, and it's a bad place to add heat, okay, because getting your RAM hot and your SSD is already going to get hot, adding another SSD right above it, I suppose it's only saving grace as we have a little thermal material here over the controller only. This is good. We don't want to overheat the NAND. So by putting the thermal material and using this metal plate as a heat shield, if you will, as a way to distribute the heat off of the NVMe controller, this is a good thing, except that if your SSD in here is getting hot, then this whole metal plate is getting warmer, and its effectiveness of cooling your NVMe controller is not going to be as effective. So if you care about cooling and you want the best SSD performance, I would leave a 2.5-inch drive out of there. But it looks really easy to add. I will give you that. And it does appear that you can put screws in here and lock it in, but I don't know that that's necessary. I think if you just slide it in, it doesn't have anywhere to move when you lock it down. So I don't even think you need the screws, to be honest. But be careful when you raise this lid, because this cable, if broken, will not be easily replaced. So I don't know why they give us the other cable, though. I'd like to see 2 sticks of RAM. That's dual channel. That's likely means this we can put 64 gigs of RAM in this if we wanted to. Now, as to what's on the other side, there's really nothing user serviceable on the other side. We'd have to probably take out 4 more screws, remove the plugs and the USB, and then pull the plastic, because this is a plastic case. It is not metal. You need to pull the plastic away from where the ports are so you can lift it out on an angle. And that's going to reveal nothing user serviceable on the other side. So I don't know why you'd bother. Everything you need is right here, very easily accessible. Overall, pretty good, but this area is going to get hot. And adding any other heat generation in this little confined, look how confined this is. Do you see any airflow in here? We have a vent here and we have a vent here, but there's no fan. There's nothing moving the air in here. So we have stagnating air from two items that are notoriously known for generating immense amounts of heat and being affected negatively by their own heat generation or the heat generation of one to the other. Your RAM can get very hot. Your SSD can make your RAM look like a nice cool summer day by comparison, depending on the kind of user you are. If you're somebody that just pounds on your machine, you're definitely not going to want to add an mechanical or solid state drive here. On the other hand, if you're a moderate user, you have very light use of your computer and you want to add a drive, you certainly can, and the added heat probably won't make any difference to you. So it just depends on the kind of user you are. Probably most users won't see any difference, but some of you will have negative effects from doing that because of the kind of users you are, because of how you use your computer. So that being said, proceed accordingly, know what to expect. We've got a header here for something. I don't know. It says it's for a system fan. That's interesting. So apparently they designed this, the OEM designs this with the option of putting a fan in this area. And instead of doing that, they opted to give you this instead. That appears to be some way they can differentiate themselves, I'm guessing, from other manufacturers who sell the same unit. They just outfit it a little differently. As I mentioned, this is a Kingston drive. Kingston doesn't make, they're not a leader in solid state drive technology. They're very much a follower. If you want a leader, you go with Samsung, or if you want something that's budget oriented and also performs well for the money, I think Team Group does a very good job. We could probably put a 4 terabyte drive in here without a problem. I don't know why you would. It would cost you more than the computer. But, well, actually, it would cost you about $50 less than the whole computer. We've got a Wi-Fi card right here that is replaceable. That's always good to see. That means if you want to upgrade this to Wi-Fi 6E, you just take out one screw, replace that. These antennas pop off like buttons. Be careful not to break them. Push them back onto the new card. They're very delicate, very small. Be very gentle. Pop your new Wi-Fi card in there, load your driver. You've upgraded Wi-Fi and Bluetooth that easily. So when I talk about enthusiasts, and I talk about some of the unwise things they do just because they can, I'm not suggesting what they're doing is wrong. I'm suggesting what they're doing is not ideal for the average Joe. That there are expenses and risks involved that I don't think the average Joe necessarily fully understands. And it can be harmful in that way. That's all I'm saying. All right. For entertainment purposes, if you want to see somebody do something stupid, then the equivalent of Jackass with computers is widely available here on YouTube. So to that end, I want to show a couple products to you that I purchased off AliExpress. Let's see, here's one of them. Here's another one. What are they, you say? What are these weird AliExpress purchases? Oh, it's gonna be eye-popping. This is the kind of dumb stuff you can buy online that can completely ruin your computer and waste your money. So if you were looking for ways to ruin your computer and waste your money, well, you've come to the right channel, because this right here, look at this. Do you know what this is? Look at the end of the connector. Okay, well, it clearly seats an M.2 drive, an NVMe drive, but what's this? Does anybody know what that connector is? Come on, chat room, don't let me down. What is this connector? Where have you seen it before? Nick Poverman contributes $4.99. He said the extra ribbon cable is in case you break the one attached to the case. The B-Link SER5 5500U has the same extra cable. Hey, you know what? The fact that they have a cable that's so easily broken, that's one heck of a way to fix that bad engineering design, is to simply give you an extra cable. That's just bad design. If that's what it's for, then that suggests to you that you're only allowed to break the cable once. And when you break it the second time, well, you're out of luck. I guess they determined you can only break it once. Frank Jimmy says, is that M.2 Wi-Fi? Yes, it is M.2 Wi-Fi. Wait, are you telling me this adapter is going to convert an NVMe drive into an M.2 Wi-Fi slot? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. If you really want to screw your computer up, I probably need to take that screw off first. If you really, really want to turn your machine into a virtual Evel Knievel, and you know how things worked out for Evel Knievel, right? I think he had a punch card for as many times as he went to the hospital. But hey, great entertainment. So if you're in it for the entertainment, let's remove this. Now, wait a minute. I don't want to actually do this, but I just want to simulate doing this. Does that actually go in there? No. No, I've got the wrong one. This one is not M.2 Wi-Fi. This is PCI. You could plug this right into your motherboard. That's what that is. I see I ordered two, and I got them confused. That is, where's a motherboard? I need a motherboard. Here, you know what? This is the first thing I'm grabbing, so that's what I'm going to grab. Here's a motherboard. Yeah, it even says, if you were paying close attention, which I was not, it even says PCIe by 1. So what you can do if you want to add another M.2 drive to your computer is plug it into the PCI Express slot right there. Huh? Nothing says I'm going to start a fire like buying this stuff. This is just crazy nonsense. Now, as far as this goes, this isn't that crazy. It's a little crazy. A little bit crazy. Suppose we could probably plug it in here too. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could go to an X16 slot too. Plug it in there. Why not? Sure, have at it. It'll work. It's a waste of a slot, but hey, it's your slot. You want to waste it? Waste it. Okay, so that's the PCI Express one. That's my bad. I was so super excited to show you the Wi-Fi one. I just assumed that was the Wi-Fi. But obviously that connector is way too deep to be a Wi-Fi connector. The Wi-Fi connector is much shallower than that. So let's open up this package right here. Oh yeah, this is just a bad idea. Check this out. Now, do you see the lines that are here? See the lines? So what happens when you want to plug this in, like on a shallower computer, and you only put like a 2242 in here, is those lines are there for you to know where to break this off. I'm serious. These lines are designed for you to snap with a clean break because there's no circuitry back here that you need. Everything you need is up here. So if you're trying to plug this in somewhere where it won't fit the length, but you're putting in a shorter drive anyway, you just snap it and you'll have a clean break. One size fits all, baby. All right, I turned into Bender for a minute. NVMe drive goes in like this, right? Now, see that connector? Come over here, you. See that connector? They look a lot alike, don't they? So you can plug this into your M.2 Wi-Fi. Aha. See how long it is? That's not going to fit. We'd have to use a shorter NVMe drive, like a 2242. And then we could snap this off. We'd have to figure out some way to secure it. We could secure it. That I think is 2230. But that's your problem, how you secure it. They don't care at AliExpress. So yes, you can totally ruin your computer with these if you want to. Nobody's stopping you. AliExpress will sell you as many of those as you want, and they're dirt cheap. You'd be surprised how inexpensive it is to ruin your computer and turn your life into an upside down nightmare trying to get your reliable computer, which is no longer running, to undo the damage you self-inflicted onto yourself. And for those of you that do this and succeed, who then recommend it to others, shame on you. Unless you are personally willing to hand out your phone number and your email address for those others to contact you to help them when it doesn't work, please do not advise people to do this kind of stuff. It is irresponsible. But if you have an extra computer laying around, you want to experiment with it, and obviously there's going to be very limited in the speeds and performance, but how badly do you want the storage? Again, buy a USB drive. Don't do this to yourself, man. But you may not know that even existed. I didn't. And if you want to search YouTube for videos with enthusiasts showing you how to do that, well, guess what? There's plenty of them out there. And if you want to listen to them and try it yourself, well, I'd love to hear your experience, but I'm still not going to recommend it. Is it something you were happy you did? Is it something you regret? I'd love to know, because I imagine there's going to be some of you that are like, hey, this was great. And there's going to be others of you that say, wow, that was a complete waste of time and I ruined my machine, or I almost ruined my machine. Which one will outweigh the other one? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see the results, I guess. Okay, so I think I took this one out of here. These are like $6 or something, super inexpensive. It doesn't cost a lot of money to ruin your computer. That's the good thing. You don't have to spend a lot of money if you want to ruin your computer. You can do it for as little under $10. Excuse me. Loghome wants to know, is there a fan on the other side of the motherboard? You better hope there is, because on the other side of this motherboard in here is the CPU, which generates the single most amount of heat of any component in your system. It will get hotter faster than any other computer component. It absolutely requires a fan, but it is not a user serviceable fan. It is all sealed, and there's nothing for you to do to it. So yes, there is a fan. Again, it is not a user serviceable item, nor should it ever be, unless there's a repair that's needed. Apart from blowing air through the vents to blow the dust out of it, that's all the maintenance you need. It does not require taking it and opening it. And if you want to get the fan really good, blow your compressed, take your air duster and blow it here to force the air back out, and then through the vents afterwards. There would be no good reason I could see to access that other fan unless it fails, in which case, of course, you have no choice but to replace it. But if I ever see one of these with a failed fan, you'll be the first to know. That means I have never seen one of these with a failed fan. I did get an Intel NUC once that had a fan that was loud that I replaced. And it was a very difficult fan to find. I found it on eBay for $40. $40 for the $5 fan they put in here. And I didn't have much choice. It was that or nothing. Are there other questions in the chat room? Douglas Burchell says, now it's going to be this one or AWOW. What are you talking about, Douglas? Weren't we sending Douglas one of the HP minis, I thought? I'm confused. Can it run Crisis? Why don't you buy one, run Crisis on it? Let us know. Contribute back to the community. That's something you want to know. Nobody else is asking that question. These can play some games. Obviously, big AAA titles are going to struggle, but I don't know, maybe Rocket League, something like that, maybe? Maybe? I don't know. Let's see what's going on in the chat. You're paying under $300 for a PC. Don't be surprised at the corners that have been cut. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Les Stevenson said he is leaving. He's got to go. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today, Les. Let me see, what else do we have? Oh, I suppose I could put it back on camera 1 now. There we go. And let's get this turned off and moved out of the camera shot. Move that out of the way. Let me step around here. Loosen that, bring that in. Plug this cable for now. I'll plug it back in over here so I know which one it is. One-man operation here. Problem with a one-man operation is one man cannot do everything well. There are some things I'm better at. And filmmaking is not my forte. Which most of you in the chat are going, you don't say. Really? Larry G contributes $10. Well, Larry's been a member for 12 months. He says, sorry, I'm late again. Here's my late fee. Hey, Carrie, hello to chat. Hello to the great one, the camera girl. Camera girl's not here today, unfortunately. What is the overall opinion? Is it thumbs up or thumbs down? Well, it's a very difficult thing to decide because for value for money, it's a thumbs up. But overall, as a computer, would I use this? Not without upgrading it. I would put 32 gigs of RAM in it, and I would put a Samsung 970 EVO in it. That'll be an extra $150. Having done that, this would be a good computer. Not a great computer, but it would at least reach my level of what would be acceptable. But now we've taken a computer that is $239, but we've increased its price by another $150, making your total price $389, which then leads to the question, if I just bought a computer for $389, could I get a better machine? Yes, but you're not going to get a better machine with the storage and the RAM. You're going to get a better machine with a better processor, a higher end processor. When we're at the $400 range, you could look at a real Intel NUC, for example. Might even be bare bones where you have to put your own RAM and storage. And when you add that $150, now you're at $550, but you've got a machine that smokes this one completely, wipes it off the bench. But now we've completely missed the plot about why Rob Tech recommended this, which was for the value of what it is for what you're paying. And for that, I can't deny he is correct. But just because it's a good value doesn't mean it's anything I recommend. Let me put it to you this way. This is a story I like to tell. I was working at this computer manufacturer in the assembly, in the factory, and the Roach Coach, the food truck, arrived, and we all took a break and we went out to the food truck and we're all having breakfast. And sitting across the table is the manager of the factory. And we're all just chit-chatting, whatever. We're all taking a break, enjoying our Roach Coach meal. And he looks up at me. He's eating. And he looks up and he goes, this is pretty good bacon and eggs for $2. Now, that confused me. Because if something is good, then price doesn't determine if something is good in my mind. That's like saying, I don't know, because of the clothes you wear, you're a good person. But if you don't wear the right clothes, it doesn't make any sense to me. Either the bacon and eggs is good or the bacon and eggs is not good. So I was confused, being the kind of thinker that I am, or lack of thinker, depending on how you look at it. And I said, no, wait a minute. You're saying the bacon and eggs is good for $2, but for $3, it's not good? And he stopped and he thought, I swear to God, he stopped and you see his eyes move. He goes, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And then he went back to eating. And I was left just as confused as before because there's no definition So for $3, the bacon and eggs wasn't good, but for $2, the bacon and eggs was good. Well, clearly, there are people who think differently than me. Because if I enjoy something, if it tastes good to me, the price is irrelevant. We can talk about quantity. Hey, I got a lot for the money. If we talk about how much you got, I get that. I talk about value for quantity. If I'm ordering a $70 filet mignon and the thing is just a little medallion that big, I feel like, it's good, but is it $70 good? And that's not referring to the price. That's not referring to the taste, but that's referring to how much I got. So was that what he meant? Was he referring to the quantity that he got a decent amount of food for $2? Or did he mean it the way he said it? Because the way he said it, he was referring to the taste. And if somehow the taste wasn't as good at $3, does not compute. Can't make heads or tails of that, man. Makes my brain hurt. So no matter what the price of this unit is, doesn't change what it is. This doesn't become a good computer because of its price. You understand? A good computer is a good computer, and you can overpay for it. All right? There's a certain amount of what we call value, which may or may not be there. But regardless of the monetary value that's placed on it, that does not define if it's a good computer or not. That sole value that's placed on it by an individual maybe have to do with the cost of acquiring the parts, distribution and marketing, how much profit they want to make off the unit, or maybe they're selling the unit at a loss. And even at a loss doesn't mean it's a value, okay? It doesn't mean suddenly it's more desirable because it's being sold for less than what it costs to make. I've gone to some pizza places. I am a pizza connoisseur. I love pizza, all right? Let me just get that out there in case you didn't know. I've had a number of terrible pizzas in my life, and I got news for you. The terrible pizzas weren't necessarily bigger, giving me more quantity. The terrible pizzas weren't necessarily a better value. No matter what they charged for that pizza, it was gross and disgusting, and I don't like it. They could have offered it to me for free, and I'm still not eating it. It's gross. It's disgusting. At what point do you feel like you're eating poison? Is it worth it because you got a good price on the poison? Hey, this poison was a good value, so I'm going to poison myself because I got a good deal on it. Because that's what it feels like to me to eat bad food. It feels like I'm poisoning myself. I will play it safe and throw it into the trash can. I think that's a safer bet than dealing with the potential consequences of my gut or health concerns of something that doesn't taste right. It probably doesn't taste right to me because something is rotten or something isn't blended well, which could affect my stomach or could affect my actual health in the case of food poisoning. I don't play a game with a $10 pizza or $15 or $20 pizza. If it's that bad, I'm not going back to get another one. I'm done. I'm going to chalk that 20 bucks up as lesson learned and never go there again. Never, ever. So I don't mess around with that. And whether that pizza was $5, $10, $20, you get what I'm saying? Food poisoning is never a good deal. And I don't want to roll the dice because I'm saving a few dollars. We'll see what happens. I'll put my health on the line because I got a good deal on it. That's insanity. If a computer to you is a novelty, okay, and I want you to think about what I'm saying here because I've said this a number of times before and I want to get it through. If a computer to you is a novelty, it's a toy you tinker with, have fun, man. But if your life is disrupted and you are in a mental state of anxiety when your computer doesn't work, if suddenly now you are in a panic mode, if you are seriously freaking out because your computer doesn't turn on today or it doesn't work, and there's something critical that you need to get done that you cannot get done, that has you in a mental state of anxiety, do you want to buy the cheapest thing? Look, I want you to understand that there's more than value, more than price, that deals with the long-term effect of owning something. When we went to Walmart to look for a life preserver, going on a canoe trip. And immediately, the person I was with went to the cheapest life preserver, $35, $17, I think, was the price of the cheapest life preserver at Walmart. And Walmart had 3 life preservers. There was a $17 life preserver, there was a $25 life preserver, it was like a $36 life preserver. As I recall vaguely, the most expensive life preserver was twice as much money as the cheapest life preserver. And that person reached over for the cheap one. And I said, hold on. Is your life worth $17? Well, no, of course not. Well, this is a life preserver. This is something designed to save your life. Do you want to buy the cheapest? Do you really? Now, the cheapest one may save your life just as good as the more expensive one, but the cheapest one may also not last as long, may not be as comfortable. So is this something you're only going to use once, or is this something you're going to use time and again? Do you want to have to buy this again next year, or do you want to buy one that's going to last a while and maybe be more comfortable? You think spending $36 to save your life is too much? Because I'll give you the extra 18 bucks to not buy the cheap one. We left with the $36 one, all right? And that person's still alive today. So anyway, you judge it how you want to judge. That's just the way my brain works. I'm not suggesting you have to think like me. You think however you want, man. It's your life. You live it how you want to. If a computer's a novelty for you, like a toaster, it's an appliance, your appliance doesn't work, I'm not having toast today, oh well, who cares, right? There's no mental anxiety or stress or concern. You're not in panic mode, who cares? Then buy a cheap one, have fun. But if a computer actually affects your state of mind and you're on it every day, then I would very strongly advise you take very careful consideration over what value that has to you. Do you want to spend your day fixing it? Do you want to deal with heat issues? Do you want to deal with a company that doesn't return support calls or doesn't get back to you in a timely manner? Fine. Price it accordingly. But if you can come up with a few extra bucks to get you something that's a little better, that'll last longer with better support, it's going to last you longer. Overall, your price of ownership over time will be cheaper if you spend more now, in theory, to get something more suited to your needs. And when I say your needs, I'm not just talking about how you're using the computer. I'm talking about your mental needs. I'm talking about your state of mind, your mental health, your emotional state. If you've got a computer that's nothing but problems, that ruins your mood, and by the way, when your mood is ruined, you're ruining the mood of everybody around you. You're unpleasant to be around, which puts other people in an unpleasant mood. It's like a disease, all because you saved some money and thought you were getting a deal. And now other people are paying the price because of the money you saved. That's not cool. So you need to decide what's right for you. And if it's important enough, then be patient and save up enough money. Go without and sacrifice a little bit, so that once you do have enough to get what's actually best for you in terms of performance, reliability, then you're investing in your own future, in your own mental health, and in the mental health of everybody around you that's got to deal with you in a bad mood. So if you don't do it for you, do it for the people in your life. Do it for the rest of us, for crying out loud. So overall, I don't know if TRIGKEY is a reliable brand. I don't know what their support is like. I know nothing about them. This is the first computer I have from them. They didn't even return emails to us, which is not a good sign. But, you know, they're not obligated. They don't have to. And we bought it. And we bought it because Rob Tech said it was a good value. And yes, he's right. It is a good value. If all we're measuring is what you're getting for the money, you're getting a good amount for your money. But is that any good? Only time can tell. I don't know. For one, I don't like the amount of RAM that's in it. I would double it. And I don't like the storage that's in it. I would replace it and double it or quadruple it So I would automatically spend another $150. Then it's as good as it can be. It can't be any better than that. That's it. That's all you can do. You could put 64 gigs in it, but you likely aren't going to use it, so it won't make it any better. You could put more storage in it, but it won't make it any better. Once you peak out the Gen 3 storage with like a Samsung 970 EVO, it's not going any faster. That's it. You've maxed it out. And if it still lets you down in performance, well, it's time to buy a different computer. So for me personally, if you add $150 onto this $239, you're at $389. Would you be better off just buying a computer that's $400? Probably. You're getting a much better processor, $400. The storage and the RAM, who cares? So how long do you want the computer for? How important is the computer in your life? Is it a life vest for you? Or is it a toy you play with from time to time? And if the toy breaks, who cares? That's going to play a big impact on how much you should spend. If you're an Uber driver, do you want to buy the cheapest, most unreliable car so that you can't earn any money every time the car is in for repair? And if the car takes a long time to repair, there's more time you're out of work. And if the car's out of warranty and you've got to pay for the repair, well, at the same time, you cannot work and earn money. How does it make any sense for an Uber driver to buy the cheapest, most unreliable car? That's the opposite of making money. That's spending more and putting yourself in a mental state of anxiety that you cannot work while the car's being repaired. You're unable to generate income, and yet you've got this big bill coming, and you need to pay that bill in order to get the car back so you can earn the money to pay the bill. So don't buy that cheap car if you're an Uber driver. You're doing it to yourself. You are voluntarily making this decision. Make better decisions. You'll be happier. And when you're happier, as I mentioned, the people around you will be happier too. Okay, let me look at the question. Let me look at the chat for any final questions. We'll wrap up today's video. Nick Poverman said, this is like people who spend $300 on RGB and then buy the cheap hard drive and motherboard. Or worse, they buy the cheapest monitor, right? But it's got all kinds of lights. Look, I would love to sell hubcaps for lawnmowers. I have no doubt those people would buy them, but I just couldn't sleep at night if I did that. But that should be my new business. RGB for computers and hubcaps for lawnmowers. Ways to waste your money on stupid nonsense that makes no difference in performance, security, reliability, and worse, in the case of RGB, adds to a nightmare of cable management and future problems with RGB software being incompatible with Windows updates, causing Windows to crash, or having the frustration of getting different manufacturers' RGB to synchronize with each other. That's a great way to squander your precious time here on Earth. Have at it, man. I'm sure they'll write that on your gravestone, and that's what you're going to be remembered for, is your amazing work with RGB. To each their own, man. In the meantime, I've got my clickbait right over here with all the RGB. That's only because I have a YouTube channel. Because people see it and they go, wow, this guy must know what he's doing. Look how fancy that looks. Once again, yeah, it's pretty good for $2. That's the logic. And you know, look, there's more of them than there is of me. You know what I mean? So what am I going to do? I don't have any choice. I've got to play the game if I want to attract the viewers. So you got to have the shiny thing to dangle the shiny keys, tracks them, and hopefully they stay for the content. That's just bait. That's all that is. At least I'm honest. Jeremy the Red says, this place is wicked awesome. It's way more than just a geeky tech show. Well, I'm glad you get that from that. Douglas Burchell said you were giving me a choice between this PC or the AWOW. Oh, was I? I'm sorry, Douglas. I thought I was saying the HP. Which do I recommend, this computer or the AWOW? What was the AWOW? What was the AWOW? Yeah, you know what? That's fine. I don't mind handing you one of these PCs. Which one is better, this computer or the AWOW? What was the AWOW? Let me pull that box. Which one is better? I don't know how we're going to define better, but oh, they're about the same. Yeah, I think they're about the same. This is a Ryzen 5 5600U with 16 gigs. And this is a Ryzen 5 5500U. This has Wi-Fi 6. What Wi-Fi did this have? I think you're splitting hairs. I mean, I would go with whatever one looks better, honestly. I don't think it matters. Flip a coin. I don't think one is necessarily markedly better than the other. It's mostly the case it's in, I think, is the biggest difference. It's a free computer. You know what I mean? I think when I start doing free, I need to stop giving people choices, honestly, because it's a nightmare for me. I don't want to repeat what we went through the other day. From now on, I think when I offer a giveaway, there's not going to be an option. This is the giveaway, and if you want it, this is how you'll get it. Because I'm tired of people that are being offered something free trying to squeeze it for everything they can get out of it. It drives me mad. It's a gift. It's a gift. Don't be nitpicky over a gift. Take what's offered and say thank you, or say no thank you. It drives me nuts. It's a gift. If you have nothing and somebody's offering you something, take it. Say thank you. But if you're getting an option of two and you can't make up your mind, I'll tell you what my parents did to me. And it might explain the reason I am the way I am. When I was about 4 years old, my mother took me to Kmart. And as we were checking out of Kmart, this is a true story. We were checking out of Kmart. We're in the line, cashier line. I saw a Matchbox car that I wanted. I used to play with Matchbox cars. Let's face it, I still do. But I was playing with Matchbox cars, and I saw this Matchbox car I wanted. And I said, "Mom, can I have this?" They're, 99 cents or something, 79 cents, whatever it was. This is like 1972, 1973. I said, "Mom, can I have that?" And she says, "Okay, put it on the card," right? But then I saw this other Matchbox car I wanted. And I said, "Oh, I want this one." And my mother said, "Pick one." And I had them both in my hand, and I really wanted them both equally. Really wanted them both. And our stuff was moving down the conveyor for the person to ring up the stuff. Like they would scan it. No, they have to type in the price. Okay, but anyway. So my mother says, "I'm going to count down from 5. And if you don't make a decision, you will get neither. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And she pulled them out of my hands and she hung them back on the shelf and she grabbed me and pulled me through the line to pay the cashier because the cashier was done. And I was screaming because I couldn't, it was a lot of pressure for a 4-year-old. And my mother's like, "No." And my mother pays the cashier. I am embarrassing my mother in the store. I am screaming as loud as I can scream. And my mother's not having it. She pays the cashier. She gets her bags and she starts to leave. And I grab my mother's legs. "No!" And she is dragging me with her leg, embarrassed to the entire store with this kid having a tantrum. And did my mother cave and go back and get me the toy? No, I got nothing. That's probably why I'm like, look, if somebody offers you something, you get an offer of 2 things, pick one and move on. Because that traumatized me for life. I'm pretty sure that had an effect. What a cruel thing to do to a kid, you know? So we definitely want to help people. But what we don't want is we don't want somebody to go shopping. Right? This isn't, hey, you've got so many seconds to go down the aisle and pick a bunch of stuff. We're trying to help a lot of people, and we want to help you as quickly as we can get it out. Anything that causes delays and anything that creates any obstacle to getting your item out to you could result in you not getting the item at all, or it being delayed for months because I'm busy helping people that are decisive. This is what I need. This is what I want. Boom. I'm going to take care of those people first. Get them off my list. All right. So I'm just telling you this to help you. I understand somebody's offering you something. You want the best of what they're offering. It's human nature. But if what you've got now is worse than either of these 2 machines, then either of them is better than what you have, and you should be grateful for it. That's all I'm suggesting. And again, I think this is the reason why I will no longer offer choices From now on, this is what you're going to get. Who wants to nominate for it? And that's it, because it's driving me nuts trying to be, I'm being too kind, and it's costing me my own mental sanity for trying to be so thoughtful that I'm tolerating stuff that's dragging me down. It's like, oh my gosh, for the love of all that's holy, let me get this shipped, make a decision, let me get it out, or let me pick somebody else. Because, and again, I totally get it. I'm not hammering on you. It's not just you. There was this whole thing I went through the other day, and I don't want to go through it again. And this just was bad timing because of what just happened. And I'm like, I've got no tolerance for it right now. Okay, so we're all good. We're all good. But remember, a gift. Okay, it's a gift. Douglas says he's got to choose the AWOW. Okay, right on. Cool. It's all good. He says, I apologize. I wasn't trying to be picky. I appreciate the gift from you and from Buster. Right on, Douglas. That's awesome. I feel like it needed to be said. I don't want other people to do this. And if you notice in the giveaways, I stop with options. This is why. I just can't do this. It's too stressful for me. I'm trying to get stuff done. I am buried under a mountain of work, and I'm trying to help people as quickly as I can. I just want to help you and move along and help the next person. And if somebody's causing that to be delayed, has this effect. Okay, we're all good. Everything's fine. We're all good, Douglas. We appreciate you, my friend. We really do. We appreciate your service. We appreciate you being a part of the community. Thank you. Ron Barner said, I think Buster was buying Douglas Burchell a computer. Yeah, I think you're right. Buster was very kind in offering a computer to 2 individuals. And I think there's even money left over for a 3rd individual. So I'm going to talk to Buster about that. But so the way that went down was unfortunate, because what happened was Peter said, here's money to provide a computer. And it's like, okay, what computer do I provide him? We can't do that anymore. That can't work. It's driving me nuts. So instead, so I've talked to Buster about it. And I said, look, you're a very kind person. You're too kind. And what's happened now is we've created some animosity with people unintentionally. And it's also turned my life inside out. I said, so talk to me first before you do that. And we can ensure that it goes smoother at the end of the day. I want to make sure that, a lot of channels and a lot of companies have got out of business with giveaways. And I don't want to be one of those. I don't want to have that happen to me, like Artisan Computers and others, that their demise was their giveaways. It was perhaps not the only thing that put them out of business, but it was the last nail in the coffin. And so we don't want these giveaways to turn into something nasty. And if that's what happens, I'll tell you right now, if I sense they're turning into something nasty, they will stop, because I'm going to preserve this channel before I worry about helping other people. I want to do both. But if people are punishing me for helping them, then the help stops and the channel will continue. So if you notice the giveaways stop, you'll know why. Just a heads up for future reference. Let's hope that never happens. And let's hope people remain with gratitude and appreciation and encourage me to continue this process. Because as kind as Buster is, at the end of the day, I'm the one burdened with the liability and getting the job done. It's one thing to throw money at a problem. It's another thing to actually do the work. I'm the one doing the work, and I'm doing it voluntarily with no pay. I'm not taking a portion of what Buster's offering and saying, I'll take this for me and then this person can have what's left. I don't do that. If Buster said this is for that person, then I'm just the middleman transferring it, and it's adding to my burden. It's more I have to do, and there's nothing in it for me other than human kindness. Please remember that. So it's very kind of what Buster's doing is extremely kind, but I'm the one who's doing the work. So if that work is coming off as being punished instead of being rewarded, I don't want to do that work anymore. Make sense? Was it a Trump tantrum? I don't know what a Trump tantrum is. Let's see. Greg M says Artisan had shady practices long before that giveaway. Yes, but the giveaway was the point I'm trying to make is that made it worse. They were already in a bad place. And Artisan is one example out of countless other examples of companies that have given away things that the giveaway is what caused their demise. This is not uncommon. The giveaways, if you pick a wrong individual for a giveaway, they can turn your life into a living nightmare. There's an expression, no good deed goes unpunished. Why do you think that expression exists? It doesn't say all good deeds. The point is that sometimes in the attempt of helping somebody, you can suffer punishment. Punishment that could have been avoided entirely by just minding your own business and let people figure things out on their own. Seems like a cruel way to go through life. But, you know, you're trying to feed a dog that's starving and it bites you. Let it starve. You know, that's kind of my attitude. Somebody's sitting on the roof of their house and the whole street is flooding, and you come by in a boat. You go, hey, come get on the boat. And they're like, no, leave me alone. You know, God will save me. Okay. And then they die, they drown, the water rises and they drown. They go see God, and God, why didn't you save me? And God's like, I sent a boat. You know, I tried. Anyway, just a joke. Don't take it personally. All right, guys. Any other questions I can answer for you on the computer? I'd be happy to do my best to provide an answer if it's something I know. I'm certainly not withholding information that I have, but it may be information I don't have for lack of interest, or perhaps just don't know. So I don't know all the answers to all the questions, but if you do have a question, I'll do my best to answer it. Nick Gaffrey says, your mom was totally right. Oh, that was terrible trauma. That was terrible trauma to put a 4-year-old through. That sucked. That sucked so bad. Yeah, I am absolutely certain that that left long life lasting. That was a lesson that I think has scarred me for my entire life. But, you know, life isn't a ride at Disneyland. Life can be tough. And so clearly people have been through worse trauma in life than that. I should count myself lucky if that's what I consider a trauma compared to what I know some other people have gone through that's far more physically traumatic. This was mental trauma. SuCool98 Lawrence wants to know, how would that mini PC be using OBS with a background and playing music on my small casting network? I might get one for a friend. Well, I've never used this unit for OBS, but based on its specifications, it should be fine. Streaming in general doesn't require a lot of resources. On this streaming computer here, with 4 inputs, 4 HDMI inputs on my capture card, I'm using (9.7). That's a lot. I don't normally see 9.7. Oh, we even went up to 10% of my CPU power. 10% of a 9900KS processor, leaving 90% of the processor idle with nothing to do. 90%. Normally, it's like 5%, so I don't know why it's higher. Maybe because the sound suppression's working and it takes up CPU cycles. I guess it depends on how you use it, but I would imagine it should be fine. Like if you were trying to game at the same time as run OBS and stream it, this isn't going to be good. But if all you're doing is streaming and you're providing a webcam source or a USB capture source, music, I would imagine it'd be fine. It probably would use 30% of the CPU. But again, it kind of depends on, I mean, I'm assuming 1080 streaming. It would be okay. I don't think it would be the best option, but a usable, workable option. Yeah, I think it would. Days Juice says for $239, this is great bang for the buck mini PC, but if you want a better performing solid state drive and RAM, the Minisforum UM560 XT bare bones is similar for $219. It has a better CPU, but bare bones means you have to buy solid state drive, RAM, and operating system. That's going to set you back. Again, using my examples, $150. The OS is another 20 bucks if you buy it from our sponsor here, VIP CDK deals. It's actually $15.90 for Windows 10 Pro. And you can use the Windows 10 Pro license key to activate Windows 11 Pro. Even if a Windows 11 Pro license key costs more, it's a little money saving tip from your Uncle Kerry. But that being said, you're looking at 170 bucks on top of the 219. You're at just under $400 there. So again, if you want a $400 computer, you're not getting it for $200, okay? You can get a good deal. You can get a good value, but you're not getting a $400 computer for $239. You will need to spend $400 if you want a $400 computer. I don't care which way you attack it. I don't care which brand and which model, no matter how you come at it from whatever angle, you will end up at the same place, $400. Jim KJ3 says streaming with a green screen would require a bit more CPU power. Still, it can be done on an i5 or Ryzen 5. Yeah, I agree. Agreed. Greg wants to know if you considered adding a quick comparison to similarly equipped desktop PC. I found many of these are better than some of my desktop PCs. Not only that, they're probably cheaper. No, I can't be bothered to do other people's work for them, Greg. Get off your butt and do it. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I'm providing information for you. I want you to use your brain, and I want you to think about what's right for you. I don't know what's right for you. I don't know what you're comparing. Am I going to compare this to laptops and desktops and Macs? What else are you going to compare it to? Where does the comparison stop? Similar models from other manufacturers and prices. Oh my God, it's overwhelming, the choices that are out there. Well, welcome to the world of PC. If you want one choice and the decision to be made for you, the world of Apple exists for people like that. They make all the decisions for you. They charge you a premium for that service. That's why they cost more. And you pay what they charge and you get the same as everybody else. There's no deals. You will pay exactly the same and get exactly the same as what the next person who paid the same amount gets. That is Apple. If you like the freedom that PC brings with it, then that means the individualism is yours for you to define. And my goal here is to introduce you to the options and to open your mind to the possibilities for you to do the work to decide what's best for you. I don't want to do the work to decide what's best for you. There's nothing in that for me. And there's 382,000 of you subscribed to my channel. Do I do that 382,000 times? No, that's insanity. So I'm planting a seed. What you do with it, that's on you, my friend. Philip Jones says, continue on, Kerry, and do the good work. Enjoy the stream tonight. I'll be back for more of them, and good night. Hey, Philip, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate you. Douglas says, I love being here, and I have a new family here. You do, and we love having you, Douglas. Thank you for joining us. Hayes says, I got a Crucial P3 Plus. That's not a good drive, but okay, sorry. It's no Samsung 980 Pro, but it's pretty good and not expensive for the speed. It goes for about $55. Enjoy it. Just thinking of the bacon and eggs. Pretty good for $2. I guess I'm a bit of a snob on that because I've had a number of Crucial items go bad. And Crucial was very easy as far as the RMA process went, but the fact that I had to go through the RMA process, both with solid state drives and RAM from Crucial, I just don't buy them anymore. I'm just so done with them. And the fact that they're not even that fast to begin with. I've got a business to run. I can't let my business sink because something was a good price. I got to keep my customers happy. I got to keep my business afloat. And I got to be able to buy hundreds or thousands of a unit and not be burdened with upset customers because units fail. And the burden of RMAing and warrantying is just too costly to my business. There's not enough money in it that I can afford that. I will go out of business. So my pickiness and my snobbiness about parts is really just about self-sustaining my business. It's on a bigger scale than the one you bought. You understand? I'm buying hundreds. So it just takes a small amount of percentage to go bad to ruin my reputation. I lose customer confidence and it costs me money to make it right. And all to save a few dollars. It's a hell of a way to lose a business, man. So understand my preferences are coming from a profession. What's my preference for solid state drives? My preference is Samsung first and foremost. I probably installed more Samsung drives than any other brand, even going back to the 2.5-inch solid state drives. I think I've seen one bad Samsung drive in 10 years. I think I first started installing them in 2013. Now, that's not to say that's the only brand I use, but you can tell how concerned I am about the customer by what brand I'm using. So this is a very important customer who will have little tolerance to failure or could potentially soil or dilute my value to them and my, dilute customer confidence. I don't mess around. They're getting the Samsung drive. If, on the other hand, the customer is more financial oriented, they probably will be more understanding if there's a failure. I'll be more likely to use another brand that I still have a lot of faith in. Right now, that is SanDisk, Team, AData, Intel, but Intel sold off their SanDisk, sold off their SSD line to SK Hynix, and I don't like what SK Hynix has done. So I'm kind of done with SK Hynix. I'm done with Crucial. I'm done with Kingston. This brand Fingjing, I showed you this Fingjing 2 terabyte Gen 4 drive is $82 for 2 terabytes, Gen 4, 7,300 megabytes per second. It's a hell of a deal. So I'm evaluating them. I'm using them on personal builds and for builds that, people might get for free, but in exchange, they have to, keep me up to date on how the drive is doing and what their personal opinion is of it. And so far, it's sailing through beautifully. It hasn't been that long, though. Remember, I'm planning to stay in business for decades, not just this week or this month or this year. So it's important that drive lasts without any problems at all, preferably. I got to grab the right mouse here if I want to show you the drive. Let me go over to Amazon. And let's go to the window capture. And let's just look for, I don't even know how to spell it. Fanxiang. Wrong keyboard, Carrie. I'm going to keep doing this. Move this out of my way. Let's go over here. No, I'm not clicked on the box. Fanxiang. I think I'm spelling it right. And scroll. Here it is. This has essentially all the same read and writes as a Western Digital Black at a fraction of the cost. And it appears to have the same I think it's a Phison controller. And I think the NAND modules are the same manufacturer. So apart from the name, I think it's all basically the same everything. $82.79, 2 terabytes, Gen 4. Now, if you have a Gen 3 motherboard, then buying a Gen 4 drive isn't going to get it any faster. So if that were the case, old reliable Samsung 970 Evo Plus 2 terabyte, we were paying $300 for these. and they're $99 now, which is insanity. These were $300. Now, $99.99, 2 terabytes, Gen 3. It's as fast as pretty much Gen 3 can get. It's got I believe it's a 5-year warranty. You get the Samsung Magician software, which has the free data migration. So if you want to clone what you have, and this will max out, for the most part, it maxes out the performance of your Gen 3 motherboard for your M.2 slot. It cannot go any faster. That's it. That's your upgrade. You're done for $100. That's a screaming deal. And look, it's available the next day. And you have a 30-day return policy if for some reason you don't like it. Look at this, 50,000 ratings, 50,000, over 50,000 people reviewed this, and it still averages 4.8 out of 5 stars. You do get what you pay for, folks. This did cost more because it's just a better drive. They're extraordinarily fast. The Samsung Magician software is unbelievable. Good firmware updates, easy to apply, keeps the drive healthy. The Samsung migration makes cloning super easy. You don't need any third-party utilities. And it's a third of what it used to cost. Look, we all know technology gets cheaper with time. And now we've got Gen 5 drives out. So inevitably, you know the price is going to come down. And it's probably going to keep going down. Here we are, we're at $100 now. And if you only wanted 1 terabyte, instead of that Crucial, you could have got the Samsung 970 EVO Plus, which runs way better for essentially the same price. So that's what I would have done if you're asking me what I would have done. And that's why I would have done it. Okay, let me go back to camera 1. Let me get off my soapbox. When did I get on that thing? Douglas Burchell says, we appreciate your pickiness. You save us the headache of having to figure out. Your work is well appreciated. Thank you, Douglas. That guy gets it. Look, what's right for me may not be right for you. In general, what's good for my business, listen very carefully. What's good for my business should be good for you. Even if your requirements aren't as stringent and you don't have the need of worrying about RMA and support and customer confidence, all those extra steps I take to protect my business would benefit you. See, one of the things I learned when I went to work in corporate America in IT was the IT department did stuff I thought was completely stupid, just dumb, bureaucracy at its best. But after I was there about a year and I saw the comings and goings of employees and training and the mistakes people made and misunderstandings, oh my gosh, it sunk in how important that bureaucracy was in order to be able to recover from the mistakes the employees constantly made. Innocent mistakes from newbies that just started to people completely misunderstanding, bosses that are in charge that made bad decisions the IT department had to recover from, and we had to have the ability to recover from it quickly. There was a lot on the line. Every employee's livelihood and every customer's order was critical that it was in the IT system that we could recover that and put it back. So suddenly all the redundancy and all of the roboticism and bureaucracy of doing things a certain way, it took me a year, but then it clicked and I went, oh my gosh, if I did these same things at home, there would be no downside to it. But if I did the stuff I did at home at the business, it could put the business out of business. It could put the company's employees out of work. All the customers get no orders. They get no customer satisfaction. They may not get refunds. They get screwed. Everybody gets screwed because of bad policies in effect. That's a big deal because it affects hundreds and thousands of people, right? If you're talking about employees and customers and the size of the company. Companies I work for, like Intel, the Chandler campus had 5,000 employees. That one campus. Okay, so scale. Talk about scale. When it happens to you at home, nobody cares. Your story isn't going to make the news. You lost everything. You lost the pictures of your family's vacation. You lost the only pictures you had of priceless moments. They're gone forever because you didn't have safe practices, and nobody will know except you and the people you talk to. So we don't get enough awareness out to the average person about the losses that everyday people suffer daily. How do I know? I'm the one who gets the call. I'm the guy they call. And a lot of times I can't give them the help they want. The help they want is for me to wave a magic wand, go back in time, and make the backup they never made. And when in the case of ransomware, oh, I've got stories. People that don't want to pay the ransom didn't make a backup, but they still want everything back. And they claim they don't have the money for the ransom, but suddenly they got the money to pay for everything else, which is way more money and way more time than just paying the damn ransom, when all you needed to do was update your backup. One customer had a backup, called me in December. He said, you know, I'm usually really good about this stuff. It's the holidays, I'm busy. I clicked on something I shouldn't have clicked on, and all my files are encrypted now, and they want $500 to say I've got 72 hours to pay it, or they erase the key. What do I do? I said, restore your backup. It's no big deal. He goes, well, here's the thing. I bought the backup drive you recommended, and I backed up in April. And that's the last I've backed up. So everything I've added to my computer since April, I don't have. I've been writing a book. All the chapters of my book, they're not back. I said, well, I don't know what you want me to do, man. Pay the $500. I don't have $500. Really? You live in a multi-million-dollar house in an exclusive part of town. Your neighbor is a successful businessman that everybody knows. You're in that neighborhood and you don't have $500. I'm over here licking the crumbs out of the bottom of a box of Cheez-Its. Let me hear more about your financial woes. I'm sorry, that's nonsense. Somebody lives in a mansion in an exclusive part of town, tells me they don't have the $500. Gets under my skin. You had the ability to back up, chose not to do it. What do you want me to do? Go back in time? Let me get in my DeLorean. Oh, wait, I can't afford one. The person who could afford one doesn't own one and didn't make any backups. So call the person who can't afford one to do it. So I get a little angry because it's like you're asking me to perform a miracle, and then you're upset because I can't do it. Why did you think I could do that? So another customer had a laptop stolen while they were at work. Somebody broke into their apartment, stole their laptop, and their son had died, and the last pictures they had of their son were on the laptop. And they said, when you worked on my computer, you made a backup of it, right? I said, a year ago when I worked on your computer, yes, I did. Well, you wouldn't by chance still happen to have that backup, would you? You think I made a backup of your computer and I paid to store it because one day maybe somebody would call me and ask me if I had a backup and I could sell it to you? No, I don't do that. Furthermore, it would be illegal. I would be storing your data illegally without your consent. So if I had it and I gave it to you for free, you could turn around and sue me. No good deed goes unpunished. It's a terrible tragedy. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It turned into Hall & Oates. Anyway, I hate it. I hate it. I want to help people, but when people put you into an impossible place, what am I going to do? It's already happened. It's like calling me after you got into a car accident and asking me for car insurance. You needed to do that before you got in the accident. You weren't bothered. You couldn't be bothered. So then people have hard drive failures. This one person brought me a computer, and true story, brought me a computer, won't turn on anymore. I turn it on and it says RAID failure, drive 1 failed, drive 2 failed. This is a regular desktop computer. It's pretty weird they even had a RAID array in it. I call the customer. I say, hey, this computer had 2 drives. One was mirroring the other one. That was a RAID 1 array. And what that means is when the first drive died, the computer was telling you when you turned it on, you had a drive failure. It told you every single time you turned this computer on. And you ignored it. Now you've gone and done that for I don't know how many months. Now the second drive, your backup drive, has failed, and now you brought it to me. Explain this to me. Well, yes, I'm very busy. I have work to do. When the computer gave me that message and I hit the button to get past the message and it booted into Windows, I went back to work. I don't know what the message said. I don't care. Doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know what any of that gobbledygook means. I push the button to continue and it loads Windows. That's all I can tell you. And now when I push the button to continue, it doesn't load Windows anymore. So now I brought it to you. And I go, okay. Well, everything's gone. It's all gone. Now, the way we move forward is I replace the drive. We don't have to replace both. We can just put a single drive and disable that whole RAID 1 scenario. And this is how much a drive costs. Then we're going to reinstall your operating system. And it's going to be like you went to Best Buy and bought a brand new computer. You will need to reset up everything all over again. Reinstall any programs you're using, reset up your email, reconfigure and install drivers for your printers. All of this, just like you bought a brand new computer. So the cost of that is the cost of the drive. We will reinstall the operating system. And so you've got labor. I've got to find all the drivers. This is back in the day. And so, you know, you're looking at this much in labor. And they said, but that's an old computer. For that much money, that money could go towards a new computer. I agree. Yes. Well, what about all the stuff I had on my drive? I said, well, you could send that into data recovery services. That usually takes between 4 and 8 weeks. Runs about $1,000 on up. Oh, that stuff's not worth $1,000, and I don't have 4 to 6 weeks. So that's how that works. You just restore from your backups. My what? Okay. Now, you might say, well, you're kind of rude. Okay, I get it. Because you're failing to understand the scale. What you're failing to understand is if you look above that customer, behind them is a line as far as the eye can see of other customers with their computers in hand, each one with their sob story, every one of them. And some of them, it's not a big deal. You got to push a button for them. For others, it was a tragedy that they were well aware of and chose to ignore. Now you're supposed to feel sorry for them after they ignored it and it didn't go away. It got worse. Look, there's nothing I can do about it. If the doctor tells you you've got cancer and you're like, no, I don't, I'll be fine. And you go about your life and your cancer gets worse and worse and worse. And now you're barely alive and you go to the doctor and you say, please help me. The doctor says, I tried to help you. It's too late to help you now. It's too far gone. We'll kill you in the process of trying to cure you now. It's too late. You've made this bed. You've made your decision. This hits home for me because this is how my mother died. She refused to do what the doctors told her to do. Now, I don't make light of this. My mother was going to live her life the way she was going to live her life. But I feel it was selfish when you've got kids. Regardless of that, the fear obviously ran very deep in her, and she made decisions, I think, fear-based. And the result of that, I think, was her fear of death caused death to happen sooner. I don't know. Right? We'll never know. Could the doctors have killed her sooner if she'd have followed the doctor? Because she'd have you believe that they would have killed her if she would have done what they said. I tend to think the doctors probably know what they're doing. And yes, some patients are statistically made worse by the treatment, but overall, most overall are helped by the treatment. And she was convinced she's one of those that would have been hindered. And maybe she's right. But we'll never know because she did it her way. And the result is she's not here anymore and she should have been here. So I'm upset at it. I don't like it. It angers me. But I respect it was her decision to make. So when people do this to themselves, and especially when they were warned, when you were given a backup and you were told to use it, and you used it once, you didn't use it again, and now you got ransomware. When you had a RAID 1 configuration that was telling you drive 1 died, and you ignored it until drive 2 died, then you did something about it. You were warned. This is no different. And behind you, there's a line of people, as far as the eye can see, all looking for help. So I can't help you, or the way I can help you, you're not going to like it. So apart from having a magic wand, There's nothing else I can do. I want to be the hero. I want to put on my cape and I want to save your day. But if you've made that impossible for me to do, let's not waste each other's time. Next, you know what I'm saying? Let's stop holding up the line and let's get the next person over here. Let's help them and get them out. So this is the world I'm in and the scale that I'm at running a business. And that's why after 30 years of hearing the same things over and over and over and warning people over and over and over and people not listening over and over because it's not going to affect me. 30 years of it. It's going to turn you a little bit like, all right, we've seen this before, move along. Comes across cold. Okay, I got a business to run. This isn't it. It's not a charity. I'm not here to give people hugs. Come on. I'm here to get some work done. You got something I can't fix? I can't help you. It's like somebody brings a car to a mechanic and the whole frame is rusted out. It's not even attached to the car anymore. What's it going to cost to fix? You can't fix that. All right, I'll take it somewhere else then. Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. It's gone. It's gone. It's too late now. Winsen Lou became a supporter. Right on. Hey, thank you, Winsen. Thanks for joining our tech club. Jim KJ3N said, I was using ADATA drives until I ran into a problem getting my in-warranty 2 terabyte drive replaced. It took them 2 months. Yeah, that's unacceptable, Jim. Like I said, as a business operation, if I have a bad drive, I need to replace it immediately, and then I will file the RMA, and when the RMA comes in, I'll put it on my shelf as a spare part. However, that costs my business money. So if it happens once, it's a pain in the rear end and it's embarrassing. But if it happens to an individual, who cares, right? Like I said, you don't get the press. You don't have a business that's going to suffer. It's just your inconvenience. That's why I say the things businesses do are practices that every home consumer would benefit from. And the things home consumers do would put a lot of businesses out of business. Davis Parsons says, that's not cold, it's just the facts. Yeah, the cold, hard facts. Jamie McGregor said, years ago, ADATA sent me a replacement SSD only for them to chase for to charge. Is that supposed to say charge for the old one I sent back 9 months earlier? Well, we're not seeing very good messages from ADATA. I have very good luck with ADATA. I can't say I've had to RMA anything, right? So as long as everything's working and I don't have that experience, I can't relate to it. Like in my drawer, I have ADATA flash drives in here. There's one. Some of these flash drives I've had 10 years. They still run great. I've got some ADATA SSDs that I've used. I haven't seen a bad one yet. I don't use a lot of them, though, because I don't know. If their support is slow, obviously, I can't deal with that, and I won't use it in a customer build. Jamie says, no, they reached out asking where the old SSD was 9 months after they sent me a new one. Did you send them the old one? Jim says, oh, I was vocal about it. I made 2 videos about my experience. And how many views did your videos get? And how frustrating is it when people didn't listen? Now you're going to wear my shoes for a little while and see what that feels like. I warned them and they did it anyway. Jamie said he did mail it. They collected it. And did you have evidence of that you could send them like the RMA number to say, I already sent this to you? How did that go? Companies make mistakes. Tejju says Western Digital SSDs have been good to me too. I don't see any difference between Western Digital and SanDisk apart from price. Whether it's mechanical or solid state, both companies pretty much have the exact same warranties, the same performance. I've had to return Seagate drives. I've had to return Western Digital. I'm talking mechanical drives. And it's always been excellent. Nearly imperceptible between the two of them. I can't tell them apart. So I don't have a personal preference, except Seagate solid state drives are way overpriced. I don't know why. Western Digital drives are slightly overpriced. The Western Digital Blacks are a little overpriced. I haven't seen a bad one, but I've only had a handful of them. So they're not my go-to. Jim KJ3N says he's got 140 views on the first video, 114 on the second one. Not a lot for sure. That's the problem, Jim, right? You need 140,000 views minimum to get their attention. They don't care if you've got 140, who cares? Unfortunately, that's the society we live in. You need to have a big audience to have an impact, to be an influencer, for them to listen to you. Because it's just like somebody saying, I'm going to sue you. Oh, sure you are. I'm going to sue you. Yeah, sure you are. Okay, whatever. You can't afford the lawyer. It would cost you more to sue me than people do this all the time here in America. I'm going to sue you. Okay, then shut up and sue me then, if you're going to sue me. Tired of it. You're full of hot air. You're full of crap. But a lawyer is going to charge you $5,000 to sue me for $30. Yeah, let me see that happen. It's about the principle. Well, then spend the $5,000 for the attorney. I don't care. So a lot of companies, they hear this all the time. I'm going to go on social media and tell the world. Yeah, nobody knows who you are. Who cares? Welcome to the cold world of corporate America. They hear it all the time. They are numb to it. The way it's got to happen is you create, like on Twitter, you can create an outrage where people start sharing. That'll be more effective than YouTube. People start sharing your story and are outraged by it. And then they get this army of angry Twitter users that are, they can't ignore it. Then they're forced to deal with it. That may be more work and effort than it's worth over some drive anyway. You had one experience, it was bad, whatever. Imagine if you were me and you had 100 of those drives and 99 of them went bad. And imagine they all happened at the same time or within a certain window of time where you couldn't afford to do any new work. You couldn't help any new customers because all these other customers are pissed off that you sold them something that they counted on you for that's broken. And now you have to replace them now, and you don't have replacements. So you have to buy new drives at your expense and do the labor. Go to your customer's location, do the labor. Your customer's still pissed off. Do all that labor and spend money to do it. Are you going to replace them with ADATA drives? If it was ADATA, that was the big, no, you're going to buy somebody else. So again, imagine the scale is all I'm saying. Imagine if you're that upset over one, what would you do if you were me? What would you do if it impacted your reputation in the industry, to your customers, and about all the labor and expense you're going to have out of pocket for something you made very little money on to begin with? Think about it. Seriously, think about that. Shane says SanDisk is now owned by Western Digital. Yes, this is true. That's in a few years now, I think. Jamie says, no, I didn't keep the collection receipt from 9 months ago. I told them that and I never heard back. Yeah, there's not like there's anything they can do about it. You know what I mean? Like, they've already sent you the product. There's no legal obligation for your participation any further. You're just being a nice person by even responding to it. Emails are things, I save a lot of emails. So these email transactions, I'll store them in an indefinite period of time. So if something like that were to come up, I can just shut it down quickly. That's why I like email. Sometimes people say, well, I told you this. I go, no, you didn't. Yes, I did. Well, you know what? Let's both look at the email you sent to me and let's see exactly what you said together. And that pretty much shuts it down, right? Or I stand corrected. I go, you know what? You're absolutely right. That's exactly what you said. That's why I love email. We have a record of a transaction and I will keep it an indefinite period of time. I've got receipts from customers I serviced in the 90s. I probably need to throw them out, quite honestly. But it's a record. And anything regarding business or a transaction, it's nothing to save it. Oh, I got a bunch of emails in here. Kelly Stewart sent an Amazon gift card of $50. Hey, thank you, Kelly Stewart. Oystein from Norway says, I hope you can use this Amazon gift card for the channel in July. I'll be away on vacation for the next 5 weeks. I wish I could go on vacation for 5 weeks. He's vacationing from Norway? I would vacation to Norway. Where do you go on vacation if you live in Norway? Where do you go to the big city to be in the big? Do you go to London or New York or something so you can be in the hubbub of the city to get away from it all? I mean, no, you're already away from it all in Norway. You'd be getting into it all. Wow, that's very generous, Oystein. Thank you so much for your Amazon gift card. Very generous. $11 from Jeremy Beller sent in PayPal. Thank you, Jeremy. Oh, that's Jeremy the Red. He says, you're a good man. I appreciate your show. And of course you, bud. There's a little tip for you with PayPal. Thanks for all you do. Jeremy the Red. Oh, you guys are very kind and generous. Thank you so much for that. I'm glad I checked my phone. I didn't think there was anything there. All right, so this channel is user funded. You're not getting a lot of sponsorships or you're not seeing any ads for stuff here. I don't do that. You're not seeing ads for Harry's razor blades or stuff to grow your hair. I don't do it. And I'm not as wealthy as some of the people who do that, but I don't sell my audience. The sponsors I have, I'm very, very honored to have because they're real products I use in my real business, and I'm able to offer you a discount on those, but I don't make commercials for them, whether it's VIP CDK deals, RoboForm. We run specials with Acronis because I've been using these tools for years. I use them myself. I rely on them. My business relies on them. And if I can share with you my experience, even the remote software I use, Instant House Call, I really use it. And it's a really good deal. All of these softwares have free trials. Everything is guaranteed. There is peace of mind. But it's not enough to do what I do. So to do what I do requires, well, let me put it to you this way. To do as much of this as I do, I have to spend my own money to buy, I bought this TRIGKEY computer, and I've got another TRIGKEY, the S11 I'll be reviewing, because they didn't send the units to us. They're not obligated. They don't have to. They didn't even return our email, okay? So by using user contributions, I'm able to buy equipment, make videos out of it, and oftentimes the equipment is given away. Not always, but often, because what am I going to do with a room full of mini PCs? So even some of the higher end units that I've kept so I can re-review them over time will eventually become giveaways. So it ends up going back to the users, to the viewers. And I especially want to reward viewers that have invested in the channel to sort of give them a dividend, if you will. So if I see that they're requesting something and I see that they've been active in the chat, they've been participating a lot, they contribute, then I'm going to go above and beyond for them in return when the opportunity strikes. And of course, it's not strictly that way. We also give out PCs randomly to people just because. But, you know, how many PCs does one person need? I have a lot of PCs, but not everybody is necessarily deserving because they're here. So I want to reward those who are supportive of the channel. First and foremost, they're a high priority for me. You get what you get. So through the users contributing to the channel, I'm able to make more content. I'd still be making the content, don't get me wrong. I just wouldn't be making this much of it. I'm making a video darn near every day, 2 to 3 hours long. And it's not just turning on a camera. There's a lot of prep that goes into getting the product ready, getting myself ready for the show, shutting everything down in my real business while I'm live, and then having to deal with everything I've postponed once the video ends, and I've got to shut everything down. I've got to recharge batteries, put stuff away, and reorganize for the next show, while also returning calls to my customers in my real business. I'm a busy guy, but I love what I do, and I love being busy. I was bored a lot as a kid, and it sucked, okay? Sitting in your room, staring at the walls, alone, solitude, with no friends is a terrible way to live. So this is like therapy for me. I enjoy it. I enjoy getting things done. I enjoy helping people. And when people help me to help others, it enables me to do more of it. And I'm willing to do it. So my deepest gratitude for everybody who is a part of our community in any way, not just financially, just being here regular, being a part of the community, participating in the live chat. We have a lot of people who claim to be a part of the community, but I don't know that they're not. Are they telling the truth? I've been watching your channel for 10 years, but I never, ever participate in the chat. Anybody could tell me that. The only way I can know you've been a member for 10 years is that I've been seeing you for 10 years in the chat room. So you got to keep that in mind. Anybody can literally say, I've been as loyal to you, more loyal to you than any other viewer. Well, how come I've never heard of you? Well, because I don't participate in the chat. It's not my thing. Okay, well, thank you. But it's very difficult for me to believe that's true. You understand? Because I don't know what they're defining as 10 years. You watched me once 10 years ago. You watched me once 10 years later. So now I don't know. For all I know, that's, or maybe they're watching every video. Maybe they truly watch every video, but I don't know that because they can't even be bothered to say hello in the chat room. So I really appreciate those of you who do. And it's its own reward as you develop friendships, as many of you have with other individuals around the world who you only see in this live chat. And this community is more valuable than any of the amount of content I make. And I have to tell you, I never saw that coming. So of all the things I've ever taught, and of all the things I've ever wanted to make a point of, all the things I did that mattered, this community, which is a side effect, it wasn't what I was out to do, has become my greatest accomplishment with your help. It's not a community without your participation. So my deepest gratitude to all of you. And I'd love to see the community grow. The internet's such a nasty place. To have a safe place with kind people on the internet, it's pretty strange, isn't it? I like it. Let's keep it going. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the contributions, Oystein and Jeremy and Ellie Stewart and everybody else who's contributed during the show. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for making this possible for me to do this as often as I've been doing it. I should have videos all lined up this week. Ace Magician sent me a laptop. Imagine one of these, but with a screen and a keyboard and a battery and speakers and a webcam and a microphone, but otherwise all the same components. Makes sense, or does it? We'll find out when I review the Ace Magician AX15 laptop. Maybe Friday? I'm not sure. I have other builds to do. I don't have any repairs coming in. If you have something that needs repairs, reach out to me. Maybe we can have good content for the channel, and maybe you can get a free repair. It's got to be a Windows 10 or Windows 11 computer. Don't hit me up with anything older than that. Don't waste my time. But I would love to help people. And, you know, if you want to just stick a feeler out there to see if there's something I can help you, send an email. The email address and contact information is on the YouTube channel. Jeb just contributed $5 in Super Chat. He says, thanks for keeping it live. I've learned at watch on my Samsung watch. Chat is rather difficult on a watch. I get it, man, but H-I, it's 2 letters. Say hi. At least let me know you're watching, man. Thank you, Jeb. Appreciate you. I can't imagine watching this on a watch. When I was growing up, TVs were like this big. Everybody wanted a bigger TV. Nobody said, can I get a smaller TV? You could get the little battery operated, you know, the D-cell batteries, the little black and white TV with the big antennas, and take it to the ball game. And you could sit in the stands and watch the ball game on the TV at the same time. You know, you can listen to the commentators and watch the game. People did that. You remember? And now, I mean, Samsung's got a 98-inch flat screen TV you can buy. Why are we going smaller? I don't understand. Can I get this HD content on the size of a postage stamp, please? Because that's the way. No, bigger. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all again very, very soon. Remember to check out those channels I listed. I'll put links to them in the video notes. Rob Tech, be sure, and if you want more information on mini PCs, his reviews are very good, even if we don't agree. And Cyber CPU Tech, I think that's his name. Excellent channel, does great work. If you want more real information from a working technician, you will hear the same exact thing that he says that I say. There's a reason for that. Think about it. I'll see y'all next time. Bye for now.